Nick, Goose, or Mike. It's all come down to this. 7 contestants have been eliminated, 16 challenges completed, 9,500 Microsoft points on the line for one of our final 3. One of them is the winner, one of them is the loser, and one of them will finally be revealed as the mole. Hidden by the 3 doors behind me stand our remaining 3 contestants. They have already taken the quiz and are now anxiously awaiting to see who is victorious. But before we can do that, let's reacquaint ourselves with some of those that fell along the way. Welcome back, contestants! It's nice to see you all again. We're down to our final 3, Goose, Mike, and Nick. Out of the final 3, we asked you earlier for your suspicions on who you thought the winner, and more importantly, the mole, might be. Let's find out what you thought.
I don't know, but out of the 3, I think Mike early when I was there seemed probably out of those 3 seems most likely to be the mole, and I just think and for the winner, I don't know, I just see Nick winning and Checa losing for some reason. I don't know.
Now from the start, I initially thought it was someone who is not in the final 3, so that completely obliterates who I think the mole is now. However, looking at the clues and looking at the blogs on the official website, I think I have a better understanding, and I think I feel a little embarrassed to know who the mole actually is. And I think the mole, this whole time, has been Goose Chica. I feel like she's been just sliding her way underneath all of us men, making us feel all goosebumpy, knowing there's a female around, but she indeed, in my eyes, is the mole. However, who do I feel like is going to win? I didn't get to know the competitors as much, considering I kind of left early on in the series, but if anyone, I would say Mike, because I was rooting for Mike almost every challenge, and I don't know, I just feel like Mike has the better opportunity over Nick. Nick didn't seem like he was for the show or as entertained and immersed in the experience as much as Mike was, but who knows, it's anyone's game at this point.
My gut continuously went with Pirate, but it was either Pirate, Kelly, or Nick. I couldn't decide between the 3 of them. I just knew it was one of those 3. But I think the winner is Goose, and I think the mole was. I want to keep saying Pirate, but I think Goose is the winner, and Nick was the mole.
I think Goose is the mole, and I'm still sticking to that. When I got eliminated, it was because for one quiz, I had went away from guessing Goose is the mole, and clearly that was my downfall. I think Nick's going to be the winner. I was in an alliance with him, and he was a very strong player. I love Mike with all my heart. He was a great guy. He was great for the game. But I just think Nick is just such a strong player that he'll be able to make it through these.
After Lollygagger got eliminated, I now personally think that it's probably going to be Goose Checa that's going to be the mole. And I honestly hope and think that Nick is going to win. I think he's been a strong competitor throughout it and one of my personal friends. And so I wish him the best of luck, and I hope he wins.
I'm going to think that Dread Pirate Mike is the winner, and I think that Goose is the mole.
I still believe the mole to be Goose Checa. The only other person I could think could be, I was in an alliance with Nick, and I don't believe it's him. So if it's not Goose Checa for whatever reason, even though it seems crystal clear, then it's got to be Mike.
A mixed variety of answers there, but which of you is right? Let's find out. Nick, Goose, Mike. In just a moment, one of you will be teleported out of your box. If that person is you, then you are the winner and will walk away with the entire prize pot of 9,500 Microsoft points. Here we go. The winner of the Halo Mole is...
Oh my god!
Congratulations, Goose! You are the winner of the Halo Mole, and you walk away with 9,500 Microsoft points.
Dun, dun.
That was a lack of applause.
You guys suck. Right.
I missed you all so much.
I did it.
No, correction. You missed Deadpool so much.
I did miss you, Deadpool. I also like K.O. Kadon's message to me saying, "You are the mole."
You are certainly not the mole, Goose. You are the winner. Of course, you know the answer to the burning question, but it's time for everyone else to find out just who was the mole. Mole, would you please reveal yourself?
No.
Oh my god.
You really did not see that coming at all.
I did! Why did I get eliminated? Why? No!
I just want to say congratulations to Goose. You did a fantastic job. Mike, you did well as well.
As you're mentioning him, we should probably invite him out to join us too. Come on out here, Mike.
Alright, yeah. Good job, Goose.
You all did a fantastic job to get here. But before we move on, let's look back and recap how exactly Goose won the Halo Mole. Goose's strategy coming into the show was simple. Sit back, observe, and take notes till she could work out who she could trust. Being the only woman in the show, she also knew this might cause some to be suspicious of her, and she was fully prepared to use that to her advantage.
I think it's interesting that there's only one girl in the group too. I don't know if she'll be around too long. I don't know if a girl can hang with this competition.
That, coupled with her own self-admitted lack of Halo skill in key areas, meant that, whilst everyone's heads was turned to her, she could point hers in the right direction.
You know, I'm going to try really hard. I know I'm going to do my best, but I predict that my best will sometimes not be good enough, and hopefully that will make me look mole-ish.
This was clearly shown when she performed poorly in the first two challenges. But whilst all the contestants were out blaming each other for their lack of fortune, Goose was already hot on the scent of the mole, as seen from the scores on Quiz 1, where she scored a surprisingly high score of 5 out of 10.
You know, what thing is not like the other, and there is one individual who was alive during Bridge the Gap, one individual who actually got a decent number of pins during Strikeout, and that's the same person.
Shortly after T-Gizzle's elimination, it was becoming clear to Goose that an alliance was forming between Hippo, Ty, and Nick. So she began testing the water with Apple, who she had already discounted as a candidate for the mole, but was a prime suspect in multiple contestants' eyes.
Or two, I think it's your boy Apple.
I doubt Apple's really as dumb as he's acting, so maybe he's doing something.
I don't like Apple. He could be the mole. Possible. He kind of seems a little too hyper.
If she could keep the suspicion on Apple and herself and direct it away from the real mole, her chances would increase dramatically. However, this alliance was to be short-lived, as after a frustrating trivia challenge where he made his anger clear towards Goose, Apple did not ask Goose for advice on the quiz.
Well, I'm already really annoyed at Goose as it stands.
This would prove to be deadly, as after tying with Hippo with only one correct answer, he was 11 seconds slower, eliminating him. This left many contestants to seek new suspicions, and Goose to seek out a new alliance. And the start of day 2 would bring that person.
I feel phenomenal, sir.
Deadpool, who had been suspicious of Apple, now needed help, and whilst he was still suspicious of her, decided on Goose. After comparing notes, they both found that Nick was a high suspect for both of them.
I know, even though he helped me out, I'm banking on Nick right now.
I'm still with my original 3 of Nick, of Sundown, and Sniper Hippo.
Unfortunately for Deadpool, Nick became aware of his suspicions. Thus unfolded the events of Silent Search, in which Nick single-handedly helped Deadpool find and retrieve his weapon, giving the team some much-needed Microsoft points. So, whilst the suspicion of Nick was still there, Deadpool committed more of his answers towards Goose, and it cost him, leaving her alone again, prompting her very emotional interview.
So we just finished our third execution, and Deadpool got eliminated. And Deadpool and I were buddies. We talked and we exchanged our suspicions, and he and I had two suspicions in common and one that were separate. And I'm really shocked to see him go. I got close with Apple, and he got kicked out. I got close to Deadpool, and now he's gone. And I'm really scared.
Goose was in trouble. If Deadpool had truly voted for Nick as the mole, but had been eliminated, then how could Nick possibly be the mole? And so Goose turned to door number 3, Mike. Mike himself had been unsure of Deadpool for a while, so with his elimination was left with a problem of who to suspect.
Either Deadpool is a moron, or he's a very incompetent mole.
Here Ascension began, with the start setting Goose back on the right path. She laid a trap for the mole with regards to the choosing of nicknames.
I'm going to make this incredibly easy. I'm going to call it Steel, and the mole is not going to go along with this.
Unfortunately for her, and fortunately for the mole, 4 of the other 6 contestants didn't choose their colours as nicknames. This included the person she currently found herself in an alliance with, whilst Nick chose an already predetermined nickname as it directly related to a clue. However, suspicions against Nick were mounting up, with his 2 time penalties in Ascension and being timed out of the gauntlet. Coupled together with Mike being pretty sure that he had worked out the clue from the start of episode 3, it was time to take a risk.
Voting all 4 of them on the quiz, if we got it right, we were fine. If we got it wrong, it would be a runoff, and that could eliminate him from the pool completely, and one of us would at least be able to continue with that knowledge.
So, when a tie was announced, a tense 5 minutes followed as the possibility sank in that both of them had scored the lowest, and one was about to go home with the slowest time. But as both Goose and then Mike were called to the stage with both declared safe, it was clear that the strategy had paid off for them, and unfortunately for Ty, backfired on him.
Anytime I took one of these quizzes before, I always assumed that there were 2 moles, so I would divide my answers up between 2 people.
In fact, unbeknownst to him, Mike had just achieved the highest score so far, only failing to correctly answer 2 questions. With the 4th elimination now behind them, Goose and Mike were confident that Nick was the mole, and saw their path to the finale. So, whilst Hippo was eliminated due to connection issues at the end of episode 5, leaving the quiz results unnecessary, they both scored 9 out of 10, leaving just 2 players between them and their goal, Kevin and Sundown.
I don't necessarily know that there's alliances forming.
For Kevin, it was only a matter of time, as without any alliances and consistently changing his mole suspicions ever since Deadpool had been eliminated, he finally settled on Goose as the mole, and became the 6th contestant to depart, leaving just 1 obstacle left.
I think if anything, I have suspicions towards Nick at this point.
With most of Sundown's suspicions slowly being eliminated, Nick was rapidly rising as the clear mole in his eyes, but he still highly suspected Goose. This meant Mike was the only person he thought he could trust not being the mole, and as a potential final alliance candidate. He was mistaken.
For a good long time now, I've known that Nick's the mole. Now I have to deal with Sundown, who is pretty sure Nick's the mole as well, and it's going to come down to a race or something like that, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted to sort of walk in and announce, here I am, but now I'm going to have to work for it.
Then came the crucial moment at the start of episode 7. 4 choices brought away straight into the final without having to take the quiz. Both Mike and Sundown knew that neither of them could let the other go into the final for free, so they took that option off the table, disregarding their discussion previously in the challenge.
I intentionally chose the incorrect one.
There was clearly one choice to make, and that was to take the exemption.
And I just wanted to take it off the table.
Anybody who tells you otherwise is a fool.
Unfortunately for them, Goose had foreseen this, and trusting that Nick would go for his agreed option, she switched, going for 3 correct answers on the quiz, a move that ultimately meant probable safety and an easier path to the finale.
as soon as I said, hey, I'll take the exemption, and everybody said, oh, well, yes, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead, Goose, please, ladies first. I was like, hell no. They're going to screw me over. I need to change my decision. And so I did.
What this now meant for Mike and Sundown was that one of them was probably going home at the end of that episode, which relied on the quiz. But Mike had one more trick up his sleeve. He knew that, while Sundown suspected Nick as the mole, there was a nagging doubt about Goose. So, with the release of the message from the mole, he began convincing Sundown that it pointed directly to Goose.
It all points to Griffball, and I think that it's just a little bit too obvious.
So when the quiz results came in, it was clear that this had worked. Sundown went solely for Goose, scoring 4 questions fewer than Mike, and becoming the final contestant to be eliminated, leaving just Mike and Goose to go after the title, and after Nick.
Well, Sundown's gone, so, as I had hoped, it's me, Goose, and Nick in the final 3.
However, all this work from Mike came at a price. The strain started taking its toll on him, seen clearly during Escape when he became repeatedly frustrated during the maze section, swearing and even at one point ignoring all direction that came from Nick.
And then it's straight.
God damn it!
Straight.
God damn it, Jack. But I can't fucking get there, so it doesn't really matter at this point. This is fucking ridiculous. I'm gonna fucking throw this challenge, and I apologize, but I can't fucking do it.
No, you have nothing to apologize for.
Whilst all this was happening, Goose sat back, stayed calm, and took copious amounts of notes to make sure she had every little bit of detail to help her on the final quiz. Notes she knew that Mike did not have.
And I think it's really ultimately all about the quiz. It doesn't matter how fast you race or how, you can snap jump or triple jump or whatever the hell they want to call it. It all comes down to the quiz. And I think on that, I don't think anybody can beat me on that.
And it showed. For when the final quiz results came in, Mike only got 10 out of 20 correct, whereas Goose missed only 2 and in a faster time. She had sussed Nick out right from the first quiz, and had now crowned herself the winner of the Halo Mole. Now we know exactly what went on during the show and how Goose won the Halo Mole. But how did you figure out who the mole was?
Well,
Do you want to go, or...?
I mean...
I guess, yeah. So pretty early on in day 2, me and Goose pretty much made a pact to go to the final 3. And we took our knowledge of Nick as the mole, and we used that to our advantage to get to where we're at. Well, we figured out one of the clues, and it pointed pretty much spot on right towards Nick, and so we ran with it, and we took a gamble that first time around kind of voting all for him on the quiz, and because we knew if we got it right, we were fine. If we got it wrong, it would be a runoff, and that could eliminate him from the pool completely, and one of us would at least be able to continue with that knowledge. And so we decided that the 2 of us were going to make sure to get rid of all the 130s and have a finale of all non-130s.
I first suspected Nick in the pre-game lobby before the first challenge. Wow. This was that exciting.
Supposed to be off.
And if I recall correctly, I actually put him down for the question, who is the mole on every single quiz. It doesn't mean I was going down the line from him for the beginning, because I didn't know, but I think I did. Actually,
What was it I said in the pregame lobby?
You made a really big deal out of taking notes. And
Oh, damn it.
I was like, he's really emphasizing that he's taking notes. I'm taking notes, but I'm not going to tell a damn soul I'm taking notes. I don't want anybody to know that I'm taking notes. You're like, hey, wait, I want to take notes.
I think someone here owes someone an apology. Isn't that right, Mike?
Oh, yeah, are you talking about what I told you in the last interview?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay, where are you, Sundown? You're gonna be at the end over here. Sorry, mate. I screwed you over to get here, but,
Yeah, you really did.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that.
You completely screwed me over.
Yeah,
over now. Been over now.
I should also apologize to Sundown as well. I lied to you.
Yeah. So,
in case people don't know, I think, Mike, you were in an alliance with Sundown, and I was also in an alliance with Sundown. So,
yeah, so
Wait, you didn't even win, Mike. What the?
I know, I'm sorry. For all of you who I have, pointed in the wrong direction just to get here and not win, I'm really sorry I didn't do it, but,
I just had a
thanks
better
for,
offer.
yeah, thanks for falling to the wayside for me, guys.
Power of the pussy, man.
And for those of you who were in alliance with the mole, I apologize as well for throwing you off.
For all of you who didn't want to speak to me because I was a girl, this is what you get. The one person who wanted to speak to me came to the end with me.
For all of you,
Well, except for Deadpool. Deadpool was my homie.
I
told you. Deadpool, I told you who it was.
I know, and I thought it was him too. But you've been like, I thought you were possibly the mole from the beginning, so I was just like, it's either her, Nick, or Pirate. All three of you. My gut was telling me one of you were the mole, and it sucked balls because I was trying to juggle it, and it got me eliminated.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what we pretty much used the whole way. We knew that you guys thought it was either going to be me, her, or possibly Nick, and we wanted to get as much of the people looking at Nick away from that. So it turned out we used Goose.
A great job of that.
It's all just part of the game. But there were a lot of things you didn't know about happening behind the scenes, including Nick's sabotages. Let's start at the beginning.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Sinclair. You know me as Nick of Steel, and I am the mole.
In Bridge the Gap, Nick's sabotage was clear. The contestants were told that, whilst the right was more rewarding, the left was the easier of the two, and given that only 5 contestants needed to complete the course to win the challenge, this was the clear choice. It was therefore no coincidence that Nick was the first person seen down the right-hand course in an attempt to convince others to follow, leading Apple to lose 1 life and Sundown, who tested as the best jumper in evaluation, 2 lives.
I don't think it was as hard as anyone made it. I think if it was more singular based, it would have been a lot easier. But with everyone jumping around and everyone trying to confuse everybody else, it just kind of became a mess.
Moving on to Run, Nick was told that he had to make it to the shield doors as soon as possible. The contestants would have roughly 45 seconds to make it through them, so he must make every attempt to slow them down. It can be seen during the challenge that Nick moved as slowly as possible through that section, consistently crouched, even at one point moving so slowly that Deadpool got pushed backwards, which he even pointed out.
I
feel like someone's knocking me over.
And whilst both Sundown and Hippo made it past the doors, the time wasted in that section meant that when Sundown missed the jetpacks at the end of the course, the challenge was lost. Into episode 3, and Silent Search proved the perfect chance for Nick to both cast suspicion on others and eliminate a potential threat. We revealed that it was Nick's finding of Deadpool's weapon that ultimately caused him to be eliminated. It should be noted, however, that 2/3 of the challenge had gone before Nick even returned to the platform, as he spent most of the challenge just pretending to look around. Then, with less than 3 minutes to go, he convinced Goose, who has yet to find her weapon, to help him, and proceeded to leave her facing a wall, while seeming like he was helping put Microsoft points in the pot.
But we did pretty good. I'll take 4 out of 8, considering how we've been doing. Absolutely.
After Deadpool's elimination, and now only thinking Goose was suspicious of him, Nick knew he could start to be more blatant with his sabotages. So, when Ascension provided a chance to lose challenge time for the team due to the nicknames, he took that chance not once, but twice early on. That is a 10-second penalty. Once again, another 10-second penalty for saying "you" directly. Not only did this cause the team to lose precious time, but it put the contestants on edge whilst giving Nick a reason not to communicate much for the rest of the challenge. In fact, most of Nick's communication from then on was just complaining about being stuck on level 2, even at one point convincing Hippo to jump down from a higher level to help him.
If Frame can bump me up to level 3, then we might be able to work together. Because I've been on level 2 all by myself because no one's able to make it up to level 2.
I'm almost there.
I feel like I'm doing nothing.
All these factors resulted in everyone focused clearly on the tower without ever thinking to explore the map again, till right near the end of the challenge when it was far too late. If you had just explored the map more carefully, there was a teleporter hidden in the corner to take you to the top. Later that day came Nick's most blatant sabotage. Due to the format of the gauntlet, only a maximum of 2 contestants were present during any run. And after both Hippo and Ty had decent times, Nick knew he needed to waste as much time as possible. Cue the fiasco at the kill balls, where not once but twice Nick flung himself into their path, resulting in a timeout for him and no points banked. Even with this obvious sabotage, it was Ty who took the responsibility.
because you said it like as I was still
Yeah, I
writing.
said it like as you were going. That's my fault.
Once his time was up, he then proceeded to request not one of the strongest contestants left, but Goose. And while she did complete the course within 10 minutes, used up almost as much time as Nick, guaranteeing the challenge loss. Mike, I'm afraid the team's 35 minutes has been reached, and your run, along with the challenge, is over. Episode 5 now began, bringing with it the perfect opportunity to sabotage Maze Mine. It had become clear to all the contestants before the challenge began that Hippo was struggling with connection issues. One of the key things, therefore, would be to ask Hippo to give directions in a stationary position without moving. So, of course, what did Nick do?
Move left if you want him to go left. Move right if you want him to go right. Back up a little bit if you want him to go back up.
Unlike the clear jump instructions employed by Goose and the weak team, these instructions, coupled with Hippo's connection issues, created so much confusion, causing him to lag backwards and forwards, sometimes appearing to fall off the platform altogether. This caused Sundown to become so angry that he just disregarded all instruction and tried to run the maze himself, the wrong direction, and sabotaging the best chance the contestants had of winning a challenge to that point. You have squandered the great work done by the weak team, and bank no Microsoft points for the pot. After the events of episode 5, where tempers ran quite high, Nick relaxed his sabotaging during Skyball, almost completely shutting down Camper when on defense. No coincidence, therefore, that out of all the challenges, the team banked the most Microsoft points in that one.
Go, Nick, go!
That was epic. Go, 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 go!
Score!
Oh, it's a blast, let me tell you. Go, Lale, go, Lale, go. Go, Lale, go, Lale, go.
However, this fun came at a price. The very next challenge, the climb, presented Nick an opportunity to throw the challenge if the team chose him as the person they would most like to receive an exemption. So when Goose, Mike and Kevin selected him, the sabotage was back in play. Since you were chosen, you have the opportunity to earn an exemption here. To win the challenge, you have to correctly predict all the outcomes of their attempts. But if you want the exemption, you have to predict the exact opposite of their outcomes. It was his most damning act of sabotage. After seeing the courses and knowing the skills of his remaining contestants, he'd made sure to assign Sundown and Mike the harder courses, and Kevin and Goose the simpler ones, assuming none of them would complete them within the time limit. Now all he had to do was say that they would complete the courses to earn himself the exemption, dashing the mood of the group.
I think all of us here would have screwed each other over, so...
My thoughts was maybe Nick would be the least likely to actually go ahead and take the exemption.
Into day 4, with 4 choices already thrown by Mike and Sundown, Nick set to work on sabotaging Hole in One. The contestants were told they needed teamwork for this challenge, when in reality, the challenge was much easier to complete with fewer people. Nick knew this, and set about developing weird tactics to push the ball as a team, ultimately slowing down their progression and at times deliberately pushing it off the edge, repeatedly blaming Goose for this.
Goose.
However, his biggest sabotage in this challenge came just before making it to the 3rd checkpoint. The team was making fast progress, so just after the slanted U-turn, Nick backed away from pushing the ball. The lack of momentum caused the ball to trickle just over the edge and cost the team a full 5 minutes, time that most likely was enough to complete the final ramps.
We don't have time to move this slowly at all. It's either go loop or go.
Finally, moving into escape, Nick knew the combination for Mike's pathway to the end, so when Goose found his first code across the pipes, he did everything in his power to slow them down and lose precious time.
I have another sequence too if you guys want to wait.
Then, for Mike's maze, he gave multiple confusing directions to Mike, getting him repeatedly angry, causing death after death, which, at 30 seconds per death, left the team with no chance of completing the challenge in the original 20 minutes.
There's a left-pointing sniper, and then it's straight.
God damn it!
Straight.
Ultimately, Nick was responsible for sabotaging more than half the challenges, and reducing the amount of Microsoft points earned by the group significantly. Only 2 of the contestants worked out the identity of them all, whilst most of the team thought no sabotages were at play throughout the challenges. So tell us, Nick, what exactly it was like being the mole?
It was definitely stressful. I knew going into it that it was going to be difficult, but it was a hard challenge not being able to trust anyone, really. I mean, you can't really trust anyone as a contestant on the show, but as the mole, I mean, if you get too close to someone, they can suspect you.
Well, I hope they won't treat you too badly now that they know you're the mole, and I certainly hope that a lot of you made some good friends through this experience. Before we finish, though, there's still one thing left to discuss, and that's all the hidden clues that pointed to Nick as the mole. Along with all the sabotages that Nick committed during the challenges, there were multiple hidden clues that could have been used to work out that Nick was the mole. Starting off with the second challenge of episode 1, after the contestants had failed to win Strikeout, they were given this line. Or was it that the mole's number always came out on top? More than half of them had indicated that they thought the die was weighted during that challenge, and whilst their rolls were genuinely unlucky, had they followed through on this logic, they might have realised that the starting position of the die was indeed loaded. Before each contestant hit the die, the number on the top was the number 3, and as the clue stated, this was the mole's number, and the third person to attempt Strikeout was indeed Nick. After episode 1 came the first video clue from me. My first impressions reveal them. Unfortunately, this clue relied on more information, so we shall skip over that one for now. The next solvable clue came at the start of episode 3 during my intro. Looks can be deceiving, but then again, the mole is a master of disguise. The mole is a master of disguise. Throughout all the challenges, every single contestant wore the exact same armor permutations. All of them, of course, except Nick, who, during the whole of episode 3, changed both his legs and shoulders armor, indicating that, whilst all the rest of the contestants were playing by the rules, he was not. Also, just after my intro, the team were given their first clue directly from the mole.
These guys are making it so easy. I haven't even had to try. 2 contestants down, and 7 more fall over in the next 6 swings. This should not be too difficult. As they continue to strike out, they haven't even won a single challenge.
This clue proved to be crucial, and was the only one worked out in the show. Mike correctly deduced that the use of the words, continue to strike out, meant that the clue alluded to the events during that challenge. So while 7 more to fall during the next 6 swings could refer to 7 more contestants left to fall during the next 6 episodes, it had the double meaning that referred to Nick scoring 7 pallets with the 6 attempts that he rolled.
The one that really sold it to me was the very first clue after day 2, and that's pretty much where I had figured it out. The 6 swings and 7 will fall, clearly a reference to the bowling challenge. That's where I knew it was Nick. He was the only one who had 6 swings. He hit down 7 pins.
After the end of episode 3, the second video clue released, containing crucial information to combine with the events of Ascension. The mole has a long history, and if you want to last the longest, you'll have to know where to look for them. But more importantly, how to hear them. It was said that first you had to know where to look for them. The mole having a long history implied that you needed to look for the longest running series of the mole, which is Wie is de Mol from the Netherlands. This coupled with the Amsterdam t-shirt, the biggest city in the Netherlands, the orange cap, referring to their royal house, and the Peace Palace on the computer screen, which houses the International Court of Justice located in The Hague, left little doubt about where you needed to look. However, this was only part 1. Part 2 then mentioned, more importantly, how to hear them. The principal language of the Netherlands is, of course, Dutch. So, when beginning the next challenge after this clue, when asked for his nickname, Nick already had his answer predetermined.
I'm going to choose something Halo related, and I'm going to go with Dutch.
From making it to day 3, the contestants were given their second clue directly from the mole.
I'm halfway through, and it's been a breeze to win. Not even a challenge one since we first said hi. But I'm not really that much of a maniac. In the end, you will see me. So, best of luck.
It's seen on the screen that the message is split into 4 clear paragraphs. The reason? The clue tells the contestants, in the end you will see me. And if you take the last letter of each paragraph, it spells out N-I-C-K. Nick. After the events of episode 6 came the final video clue from me. My first impressions may reveal the mole, but the final impressions showed the mole's true colours. The first part made reference to the first video clue, however the second part told you that the final impressions revealed the mole's true colours. Impressions in this case refer to the physical impression, the mole's footprint, featured in the logo. At the end of each episode, the contestant leaving has the mole's footprint over their profile, indicating the mole eliminating them from the competition. The colour of the footprint was red to reflect their quiz screen result, but the colour of the word eliminated was in yellow, the same as Nick's armour. Moving into the final day, the contestants were given their final clue directly from the mole.
Oh indeed, Skyball was a blast. I think the reclaimer I was against was a perfect match for me, though I should have been scoring more goals. In my experience, I am best suited for it.
There were, in fact, 2 clues hidden in this message. The first indicated that the person they were against in Skyball was a perfect match for them. It was shown on the Griffballer's armor that each of them had a different 2-letter code on their shoulder. It was no coincidence then that, whilst all the other letters had no reference to their opponent, Campers, Nick's opponent, had the letters SK on his, a direct correlation to Nick's helmet permutation, Stalker. The second part said how I should have been scoring more goals as in my experience I am best suited for it. A play on words directly referring to Nick's armor color again. Skyball was inspired by the popular Halo game type Griffball, and in Halo 4, when playing this game type, the ball carrier's armor is yellow. Into the final challenge, Escape. It was seen on both Goose's and Nick's walls that the word mole was written. Not only did this play a vital role in the challenge, but this was where a clue was hidden. Whilst Goose had nothing above her word, Nick most certainly did. He had a selection of weapons sticking horizontally and into the wall. If you convert these weapons into Morse code, the longer weapons as dashes and the shorter as dots, the weapons spell out U-R-T-H-E. A final message directly to Nick and the audience. Finally, we come full circle back to video clue 1, as with the release of episode 8, it is now solvable.
My first impressions reveal them.
My first impressions? The first words of every single episode during my intros. If you take the first word from each episode beginning with episode 1 through to episode 8, the clue is revealed. At first, looks the mole was number 3. And during first looks, when the contestants were first revealed, Nick was 3rd. In fact, the number 3 was a crucial number for the mole throughout the show. In Strikeout, he was the 3rd contestant to attempt the challenge, as shown earlier in the first clue. In Fusion Shot, he was the 3rd to answer questions and shoot. In Silent Search, he was 3rd in the row. In Ascension, he finished the challenge on level 3. In the Gauntlet, he was the 3rd to run, and likewise the 3rd to drive in Rally Run thanks to Hippo's disconnection. In Skyball, he was on the 3rd platform. And finally, 4 choices, he was once again the 3rd to make his decision. Obviously, none of these clues were easy, but offered vital pieces of information to our contestants and viewers to figure out the identity of the mole. And that brings us to the end of the show. After everything that took place over the last 4 days, I think we can all agree that you are the deserved winner, Goose. I'd like to thank all of you here, T-Gizzle, Apple, Deadpool, Ty, the absent Hippo, Kevin, Sundown, Mike, Goose, and Nick. It's been an incredible journey for all of us. I hope you enjoy your winnings, Goose, and a thank you to you again, Nick. I couldn't have asked for a better mole. Before we say goodbye, a few words from our finalists on the outcomes of the finale.
I thought Mike being runner-up was very good. I'm actually really glad that Mike made it to the end. I thought between him and Sundown, I think I got along with Sundown a lot better, but I think Mike was justified in winning, and I thought he was a great contestant, and I'm glad that he made it to the end.
And what about Goose?
As for Goose, man, my biggest rival from the very, very first challenge, and you even warned me, Jack, that Goose would be my biggest challenge. And I did not believe you. I thought it was going to be either Sniper or maybe Deadpool. And that is why I targeted both of them at the beginning, because I was hoping that maybe I can dissuade them from making them think I was the mole. And I was successful in doing that. But in choosing to go after them, I left Goose alone. And she was very quick, and she was very smart.
I mean, obviously getting to meet with the guys and hang out with the guys, or a lot of them all weekend long, was a lot of fun. And just all these new people that I never in a million years would have met before. And, I've got a bunch of new friends on my friends list. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie, the Microsoft points, those are going to come in handy. There's a lot of Dance Central songs that I can buy with that. And I'm really looking forward to it. But I think I'm very looking forward to being able to sleep tonight without running every single situation and tiny little detail through my head.
And how does that make you feel, Goose?
It was definitely amazing. So happy that I did it. So happy that I won. I represented myself. I represented my site and all my friends. And I'm just so happy.
Still holding on to the fact that I was never actually eliminated. And I had such a blast playing.
Of course, a final thank you from all of us on the production team to all of you watching. Your support made all the effort we put into this show worthwhile. And a final reminder that whenever there's sabotage afoot, always remember to ask yourself, who is the mole?
To anybody considering playing this in the future, take notes. Take note of every single little piece of information that you can, because when it comes right down to it, that's what you're going to need, because it's never what you expect on the quiz. It's always a question that you're not expecting to see. It's something completely different.
I know that, Nick and Mike and even Sundown, who left, and probably everybody who played this game, knows of the mole and likes the mole. But I, maybe with the exception of Jack, well, maybe even not, I don't think there's a bigger mole fan out there than me. So to have something I love so passionately and to be a part of it and to see it all the way to the end, there's really no words for how just absolutely amazing this experience has been.